Hi again. Let's talk about the real magic. Simple, consistent collaboration habits that drive big results. Michael, I know we've kind of talked about this a little bit before, but what are some of the small habits that you think can create, big revenue wins? Let's talk about demo days.
Ultimately, I think that all the places that we work should be meritocracies, right? Where anybody who has a good idea should have an opportunity to share it. It shouldn't be based on seniority or uh, experience level. I mean, those things all play a factor, but how do we make sure we're listening to everybody in the room? And demo days is like a great example of an opportunity. The reason to participate in a demo day and to ask to join a demo day is you're going to learn a lot about what is being worked on. So transparency on work in progress. And so if you're a leader in an organization, immediately you're going to have an understanding of some process, pluses and minuses. You are quickly going to be able to evaluate the talent who is participating in the presentations. And so if let's say I'm a product person and I'm on a demo day and I'm a leadership in product and I see one of the engineers really doing interesting work, I have an opportunity after this to collaborate with that person's manager and to do it very transparently, but to say, hey, I'd love to work with this person and hear what their vision is in other areas, right? So I'm going to be able to identify really good talent. And then I think, having a view of feature velocity and um, sort of the temperament or morale of the team. These are all things that we learn in demo days. And from a leadership standpoint, they give us kind of markers to use as we collaborate organizationally. And so as a result of demo days, I have, you know, on the best days been able to high five everybody and be like, we are on track, on target. Everybody knows what we're building. But on the bad days, you should be able to uncover and quickly if there is a misalignment between what the engineering team is working on and what the product team expects as a result. And that happens, unfortunately, frequently. And it's everybody's responsibility to collaborate in a way that we recognize that we're working on the right things. People sometimes ask me, how do you know your teams are working on the right things? I'm always like, because there's a process that identifies the priorities and our teams can only work on those things. They're not budgeted to work on something else. If they're working on something else, then there's a management issue, right? It's not that person's issue. That's a management issue. And so I think in the way we talk about, revenue being a shared responsibility, prioritization is a shared responsibility, quality is a shared responsibility. Velocity is a shared responsibility. I can't have speed and quality if I have unclear goals and objectives. And I just think teams love it. Like if I have a salesperson come to a demo day and that person is really like a good, smart leader, they're going to cheer on my team. They're going to say, "This, wow, your team is doing great work. And I would like to see these things." Right? Like it's just an opportunity to really show how collaboration works. Like I said, I think it's a meritocracy. If our new hire is doing design work that we've never seen, let's show it off. Let's get everybody to see it.
Well, Michael, you and I have talked about that, when I've managed new sales teams, I made it mandatory that they needed to participate in demo days because I never wanted to have a situation where, the product is finished and then the sales team says, "Oh, I thought it was going to do the following. I didn't realize that we've left, A, B, and C out. Why? Well, this isn't going to work. It's not going to support my clients." And because I want to have the dialogue during the demo days, because I want to be able to say, you know what? The reason why we're not going to do A, B, and C is for the following reason, right? So, the timeline is this, we can't get it in. So is everybody on the same page as to the direction that we're going in? And you get that buy-in throughout the process as opposed to at the final day when it's released. Making it mandatory like that, there's no excuses from the sales side because I agree. I've sat on both sides, being on the engineering side and being on the sales side, and there's nothing worse when you're on the engineering side to feel like you're flying blind
Yeah.
and you don't know, like, you had a mission that you needed to accomplish, but you have no idea if that's still in sync, 2 months later, 3 months later, 6 months later, because you haven't gotten any feedback or any input on it.
Yeah. The other thing I talk a lot about is I advocate for teams to stay in their lane. And because a lot of times engineering is like, well, we have this great idea for this feature that we think would make a big difference. And maybe we were right. But also, like, don't dig in like, we're going to work on this despite everybody else's input. And the only reason I bring it up is having people from different teams collaborate together shows everybody what their lane is. Cause that's what I always say to my team. Like, there's the product person, let her communicate the strategy. Here's a salesperson, let him communicate the strategy. And when we're asked questions, let's show our expertise and we're going to be valued more for staying in our lane. People will listen to us. And I always say, like, if you want people to listen to you, don't spend all of your time telling other lanes what they should be doing. And I made that mistake a lot when I was young. I wanted everybody to think a certain way. And then I realized that I was able to be a better collaborator and even a better business partner by really focusing on what my capabilities are, what my teams do. And that slowly my partners would realize how to advocate for the things that were a good fit for us.
Right. And basically, I mean, the collaboration doesn't have to be complicated. It also what it does is it creates that mutual respect for each of the departments, right? That's a common challenge that we see. Salespeople think they have the hardest job. Engineering thinks that, they have the hardest job. When you talk about staffing industry, recruiters think they have the hardest job. Sales thinks they have and you need to always kind of bridge that gap, and I think it's through collaboration because what winds up happening is you start gaining respect for each other's jobs and each other's lanes, to use your terminology.
Yeah. I mean, I love when my teams meet a great salesperson because they feel great about it. They're like, oh, I feel good that I'm being represented by this person who knows what we're doing and is going to sell it. And it just makes for a winning organization.
It does. So, in our closing thoughts here, our call to action to everyone is what's one small habit your company could adopt tomorrow to boost collaboration? Drop your ideas below, and we would love to start a conversation.